Hi, me again. Okay. This video is going to be the overly self-indulgent one, where I'm going to say even less substantial things, which I didn't even think was possible after that first one. So I really just want to talk about World of Warcraft, because that's really all I do with my dark, lonely shell of a life. Pathetic. Right? Alright. So I kind of want to go through my extensive list of all my characters, but there are quite a few. The server I play mainly is US Zuluhead, Zuluhed, as in the Whacked, for those of you that have played in Shadow Moon Valley. I play Horde, for the Horde. My main character is obviously the level 85 Warlock. His name's Angel's Wing, one word, Angelswing. My second character is right now a level 72 undead rogue named Murdoch. I have a 72 Undead Death Knight in Scud, SGOD, and my level 20 Worgen Priest named Crowlin. I know Worgens are Alliance, but I had to make a Worgen. The Worgen starting area is phenomenal. For those of you who haven't played it yet, it's like an action movie. But right now I have him set as Disc, and he's a healer. Over on Death Rock, Detheroc, I have my level 19 Worgen Warrior, who I have set as prot for tanking. His name is Talbot, Talbut. Um, there's nothing I can say about him. The Warrior has been my favorite class so far. I think I've grown tired of casters over my 4 years of playing because I started with a rogue undead, didn't get into that very much. Moved on to a dwarf rogue, didn't like that very much. Moved on to an undead warlock, who I did not last very long with. Moved on to a human paladin, and then a human warlock. Angel's Wing was originally a human before I race changed him. So he started out as a level 80 human warlock on Galakron, but I moved over to Zuluhead because that's where all my friends and family members were all who play Horde. I was the only alliance anywhere in my family or in my circle of friends, so I figured if you can't beat them, join them. Even though I did beat them quite a few times. Um, Alliance PvP isn't what it used to be, but we can still give it to them pretty hard in Arathi Basin. Um, Back to my warrior. I literally have him just running dungeons, tanking. I must say, has got to be the easiest experience of my life. On my priest, I tried healing, but it's not nearly as fun. It's a lot more boring, and you have a lot more responsibility. But I guess for certain people, they like the extra responsibility. I mean, for the tank, granted, you do have a lot of responsibility, but not nearly as much as the healer, because the healer gets blamed for everything. Healer pulls aggro, healer's fault. Tank dies, healer's fault. DPS die after pulling aggro, healer's fault. You know, any myriad of things is the healer's fault. The tank, the only way the tank can, get in trouble is if he loses aggro. But then he can blame the DPS for not letting him get aggro, or just over aggroing, or whatever it is the DPS do. Believe me, I play a warlock. I know the meaning of the word over aggro. Yeah, I've used Soul Shattered quite a few times in my day. It's gotten a lot better with the overhaul of all the tanking mechanics in Cataclysm, like the whole holy power thing with the paladins, and the dedicated tanking tree for the DKs, and warriors prot being ridiculously overpowered since 4.0.3. I have a friend who plays a warrior. He plays arms and prot. He plays prot in PvP, but he recently switched over to arms because he can't stand fury, and prot just doesn't do enough damage for him. So he's arms with PvP weapons, like arena PvP weapons, and just questing gear because they haven't. When he started PvP, they hadn't opened the PvP vendors yet. So I told you this video was gonna be self-indulgent. So he PvPs. He all he does is PvP. He would not step into a dungeon or a raid for anything. He would not be caught dead in ICC or in like heroic dead mines or anything like that. 'Cause that's just not his style. He thinks it's incredibly boring. I mean, I like PvP as much as the next guy, but actually, I think I am getting kind of tired of PvE. Once I get Talbot and Crowlin to level 85, I'm probably switching exclusively to PvP. Like as of right now, with the way the warlocks are, I can't do anything in heroics because warlocks need massive amounts of gear to do damage. So he plays demonology and destruction, and he can't pull more than 7 to 8K in either of those specs, DPSing as hard as he can. Whereas, your friendly neighborhood boomkin or arcane mage can pull like 15K without even trying. So Blizzard definitely needs to get on that. He either needs to nerf, not he, they, personifying Blizzard again. They either need to nerf all the classes that do ridiculous DPS or buff like the warlocks who, like if you're demonology, you need a ridiculous amount of haste. If you're destruction, you need a ridiculous amount of crit. And if you're affliction, you need a ridiculous amount of hit and crit in order to do any damage. But with the addition of Metamorphosis and Demon Soul, I must say Demonology is a very, very, very viable PvE PvP spec because I pretty much can't die in PvP as Demonology when I'm in Metamorphosis because of the 600% armor rating and the 40% straight up damage reduction. Not to mention the fact that fears still work just as well as they did in Lich King. Whereas I can chain fear you for a decent amount of time before you become immune. But in that amount of time, you're fully dotted up and I'm spamming you with incinerates. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. Not to mention if you're like a, you know, tree druid where I can just kind of banish you and then work on your friend in arenas. Oh, I think warlocks have kind of fallen in grace from Lich King because in Lich King they had a very high seat of power. Because as a demonology warlock in arenas, I was able to take on two fully geared blood death knights by myself. Granted, I started out with a friend, but they focus fired him pretty quick. And then through a series of chain fears and dodge sequences, I was able to bring down both death knights twice. So it's not like that was a fluke. I was able to successfully destroy death knights. But unfortunately, if I was ever faced with a paladin, a resto druid, or a rogue, I would not last 10 seconds. Well, okay, the resto druid I would last quite a long time, but he would last longer. In between his hot rotations, which he never loses mana, he would, moonfire me, do all that. Because they're instant casts. God, my voice is fucked up. Um, but yeah, warlocks have definitely fallen from grace. I want to see how well my priest, who right now is discipline, and my protection, protection warrior do in high end PvP and PvE. And I will keep you posted on my progress if you care to watch.